Tim here with the Jacks of all trades. I'm going to tell you why I quit using these strippers and started using these wire strippers when it comes to wiring a house. They both have very specific tools and functions on them, and in this video, I'm going to walk through all of them tools and functions, and I'm going to tell you the pros and cons on both of them and why I landed on these ones 15 years ago and I continue to use them today. Whether you're an experienced DIYer or somebody who's been doing this for 25 years, hopefully you'll find something useful in this video. Let's get to it. All right, we're going to talk about these strippers first and all the different tools they have on them and a couple of tricks that these are made for that most people, I would say, probably don't know. I wouldn't have known except for I was trained by a very old school guy. First of all, we'll start with here. These particular strippers, if you look right here, they cut from 10 gauge to 16 gauge wire, and they have the little holes for curling over the ends of your wire for going around a screw. They have your standard wire cutters. They have the tips here. You can't really tell, but they're kind of designed for grabbing in case you got to grab a screw out of the bottom of a box or you got to grab something out of there. They are spring loaded. However, these ones are toast because I've already blown them up once, so they don't, the spring isn't really springy. And they have insulated handles. Now, whether you're using these ones or these kind of strippers, you always want to make sure you have insulated handles. If you're going to the dollar store and you're buying strippers and you're not sure, there's a chance if you end up cutting into a hot wire or if you're touching a hot wire and you tend to hit a ground of some sort and arc these things out, that you will get zapped, you will get shocked. So you want to make sure that you always have a good insulated handle. The other thing is an insulated handle that is wore out or has a bare spot going to the metal part of these handles is absolutely useless. Whether you're using these kind or these kind, you want to check your handles and make sure there's no bare spots, no worn out spots in these. Because if there are bare spots or worn out spots in these, the way I hold my strippers, there's a little spot right here where they always wear out. And I'll go to cut that wire and it'll send that current through this into my hand, and then I get shocked, and then everybody's not happy because you're either yelling words you don't want to, or you're dropping your tools, or you're cussing or something. So you don't want to be the guy doing that, so make sure you check your tools. Some people say you can just wrap them up with electrical tape and they'll be fine. I've seen a lot of crazy people do a lot of crazy things. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it. My strippers are wore out. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a different pair. All right. So that is all the cool things that these ones do. One thing I don't like about them is the size. If you look at the size of my hand, these things are pretty dang small. I've got really big hands, and so grabbing onto these things, they're really small. They don't really reach really well for me. And when they sit in my bag, they tend to fall down in the hole, so there's only like that much showing. So when I go to grab them, I'm kind of barely getting the tips. Now, I'll tell you that is nitpicky. I'm a big guy. Not everybody's a big guy. Not everybody's going to have that problem. But it is a problem I have and a reason why I quit using these, especially when I'm wiring a house or a shed or something that has to do with Romex. Now, I do like to use these. And the reason why I like to use these is because they have a few more features those other ones don't have, even though these are your standard everyday ones that you would buy in your first time kit if you're an apprentice or whether you're just a homeowner. These are what you would think of. These have a lot more features, especially when you're dealing with non-metallic NMB wire or what some people would call Romex. First of all, we'll go through the different features. These have a little bit better of a grip tip if you look here. These also have your standard wire curving tools there for curling over your wires. These ones do stranded and their size for solid gauge copper. They have your standard stripper holes. Now these ones are special is that they only have two holes. They say 12 and 14, but if you do one way, they're 12 and 14. If you flip them over the other way, so if you're stripping this way, they do 12 and 14. If you flip them over the other way, they'll actually strip down to a 16 gauge wire because the angle of the hole is different. Or you can strip a 10 gauge wire as well, just as simple if you're working with something 10. So that's why I really like to use these. The other thing is I always say footsteps cost money. So if I can get two 14 gauge wires in here at one time, the hot and the neutral, strip them both out at the same time, well, I'm going to want to do that because every motion cut out makes me faster, and I want to be able to get through these as quick as I can because, like I said, footsteps cost money. So this feature here is the one I really wanted to show you. For non-metallic NMB, you have these little crimp holes here for 14-2 and 12-2 wire. A 12-2 or a 14-2 wire means it has three wires in it: a white, a black, and a bare grounded conductor. When you're doing Romex wire, you don't count the grounded conductor when you're counting the wire. So if you go to the store and tell them you need a 14-3, you're going to end up with a black, a white, and a red. These will not score the sheathing on the red for stripping them out. So you cannot use these on 3-wire. But if you're pulling like most wire, 2-wire, this is how they work. You take your sheathing, and now I could whip my knife out. I could do this, and I could strip my wire with my big old knife, or with my hook knife or my razor knife inside the box. And when I do, there's a really good chance that when I cut in here that I am going to nick the wire. And yeah, I know if you're skilled, you've been doing this for a long time, you're not going to nick the wire, but there's still a chance that if your knife is sharp or if the tip is bent, there's a chance that that can happen. So if you cut these off and you're rocking with these particular strippers that have these de-sheathers on them, I go to the 12-2 setting, I come right here, I just give them a squeeze and they stop. Look, I can't overcut with these. And then I pull this off. Whoop, I pulled it the wrong way. That's hilarious because I cut that end off on me. So I pull this off, and as you can see, there is no nicking of these wires. And if you have nicked wires later on down the road, you might have a plug that not works, or not works, but you'll have a plug that doesn't work, or you may end up with this particular one not working, or they could be grounding out and blowing the breaker. I've had that happen. It doesn't always happen right away too. It can happen a month later, something will wiggle, you go to plug something in and it blows the breaker, and when you look, it's because whoever stripped it out nicked the wire. Now, like I was saying earlier, these do have the curl over tool. So if you're gonna curl over, you wanna come over about a 1/2 inch, pull it out. And then you're gonna wanna take the tip of this wire just barely through the hole, and you're gonna curl it over till this end and this end are about parallel. By doing that, it will go over a ground screw or a plug screw very, very easily. And that's what you want to do so that you can make a quick, fast connection. Now, like I was saying earlier, these also do 14-2. As you can see, only 3 wires in there. And you can strip these out very quickly. And then, like I said, after you pulled the paper off your ground and you moved all your ground out of the way, this is why I like them. You can grab 2 wires, strip them out at the same time, because these are designed to do that. See how it says 14 there and 14 there? That means I'm pulling from the right direction to get a double 14 on these. The other features these do have the springy handle, and they do happen to have a lock, although I have to say I'm not a super big fan of the lock. I don't like to use it very much. One other feature these have, if you look here, they have where it says 832 and 632. These are meant for cutting plug bolts or light bolts. So if you've got a plug and the screw is too short and you have to get another screw to put in there, and you look and all you have are 2.5 inch screws and they keep backing into the back of the box, all you have to do is from the side that it says in the front here, you take your screw. I'm gonna do an 832, which is one that you would normally use for a light, and I'm gonna screw it in by hand here. So if you screw it in from the right way, when you cut it, the screw head part will stay. You don't have to chase it because it's not flying around the room. So you screw this thing through, and you would measure it, get the mark you need, and then if you look right here, it comes out the other side, and all you have to do is squeeze. One section will go flying, and it will be the screw head if you screw into the wrong part of the pliers. And then when you back it out, you got to make sure to loosen it all the way. You will find it cut cleanly on the thread. And by cutting cleanly on the thread, this thing will screw right in real quick, real easy. It's the easiest way to cut these. If you're using a hacksaw or a sawzall, you're gonna find that you smash a thread or whatever, you're gonna fight these. So that is another feature that these ones have that the other ones don't, that I absolutely love. One other feature that I forgot to mention on these particular ones that a lot of people don't know is that they are small, but they are small for a very special reason. If you have your box nailed on and you have, you know, your wires hanging out or whatever, you take these particular strippers and you stick them all the way into the back of the box, right? The distance that comes right here is 4 inches. And Boxville says that your wires are not to extend more than 4 inches out of the box. So you stick them here, you cut your wires, and so you'll meet your Boxville calculation, and then you get 2 perfect folds, so your wires are curled up into the back of the box perfectly. Most people don't know that's what these are designed for length, especially the Klein and the Ideal versions. Now, with that said, like I said, these are tiny, and I don't get that same exact thing out of these ones, but the length on these ones actually helps me out a lot more. My hands are so big, they won't fit into a 3/0 box. They won't fit into a little 4-inch by 3-inch plug box, or, you know, I can't get my hand in there. So if I take, or a 6-inch by 3-inch box or whatever it is, but I can stick, if we're fishing a wire down and I can't get my hand around to grab it, I can stick these things in there and it gives me a lot more reach since I have big hands. Or if I'm reaching into a panel and it's in the back and I'm reaching in somewhere sketchy where it's live, these are longer and help me to get my wire pulled or pushed out of the way, so when I'm working on something live, I don't get shocked. Now, caveat, never work on a live box. Make sure the power is either shut off, and if you're working in a live panel that doesn't have an outside disconnect, you should call the power company and have them pull the meter. You do not ever, especially if you're not an experienced professional, ever stick your fingers into anything that it has live electricity into it. With that said, that's all the different features that both of these strippers have, and why I always use these when I'm pulling Romex in a residential setting. Hopefully you liked the video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. Subscribe, like if you want to see more of the stuff we have going on, and thank you for watching again all the way to the end.